In a world where machines are becoming smarter and more advanced than ever before, we are here to explore the cutting edge of artificial intelligence. Meet our host, Eric Anthony Jones, aka Ruler in Peace, as he dives into the world of AI, its benefits and its potential dangers. He, along with his future hosts and co-hosts, will be speaking to the people who are at the forefront of AI development and its early implementation stages. We'll show you how AI can revolutionize industries and transform our daily lives, and will confront the fears surrounding AI in order to take you beyond the fear of a world existing only of cold logic. By the time this journey is over, we will discover the power of AI and delve into the creative uses of AI, sparked out of the creative ingenuity unleashed within the depths of the human mind. Join us on this action-packed journey into the world of artificial intelligence, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. And so, welcome to Machine Minds, the show where we explore the latest in artificial intelligence and its impact on our world. I'm your host, Ruler in Peace, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Ricky O'Donnell, animator, CEO of RJDM, an award-winning media and technology company. And so it is really, really an honor to have you here, Ricky. So thank you so much for joining us today. To start off, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Thank you for having me, my friend. Yeah, pleasure to be here. My background, wow. Well, I wanted to be an animator when I was 10 years old, and that's what I became. So I've been animating since the age of 10, had my studio for over 22 years now, and we've done pretty much everything from Disney projects to working with brands and working with innovation and technology. So we have like apps and online systems and just all sorts of crazy things. So making friends all over the planet so I can have, my kids can have friends all over the world. So yes, just mad, really. I was born in the world of digital media and beyond. And you know what? I nearly put the Grinch here in the camera. So when you brought me up, you would, I think, oh my God, he's gone green. But no, I haven't. I'm here. But thank you for having me.
I actually saw you when you were down below. I saw you, and then I saw you put it back and become.
I thought, no, I won't do that because he's been. I was like, oh dear. But there we are. You don't have an animation company because you want to grow up, right?
Mm-hmm. Say that again, brother man.
I said you don't have an animation company or animation studio if you want to grow up.
Absolutely, and I know that you haven't grown up, and so you are. I would say that you're like the amazing Benjamin Button going backwards, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's how I see you. That's how I see you. So that is pretty incredible. I mean, you and I have had a chance to talk in the background, and so so I know a lot more, and then plus I've got a chance to know you over the past couple of years as well. So so we couldn't even begin to scratch the surface of really is like, you know, as far as an introduction, you could go on forever and ever and ever and still not scratch the surface. Because even when we were talking, you said some things that I didn't know about, you know, Fast and Furious and this and that and whatever. So, but we're going to keep this on AI for today, but you are very much a fascinating human being, and I appreciate you, and I'm glad that we're brothers. And what I would like to know next is, it's clear that you have a lot of experience in your field. So what do you see as the future of AI in your industry?
Wow. I mean, that's such a huge subject that you could answer all day because, you know, defining industry like media, entertainment, technology, innovation, all these things. I think the thing is, I was talking to someone about this today, actually. Lots of people are hating on AI. And the digital camera, when the digital camera came out, people were saying, oh my goodness, the digital camera, oh, it's replacing the film development. You're not real photographers. And now, yeah, it's widely adopted as a medium. And it sort of helps create time. It saves time. So I think AI is exciting and scary at exactly the same time. I think if it's used to create time, because that's our most valuable currency, right? Time. It's something that you'll spend and you'll never, ever, ever get back. Unlike money, you can always make more money. Time you'll never get back. So I think the fact that AI can be used to free time up, that's where I see it being used. That's where we're using it right now. And in educating, I know you have some more questions, so I can expand on some of those a little later. But I think the thing is, some of the most mundane tasks that you might do, AI can really help. So, for example, you could load multiple pages of documentation and get the AI to summarize those pages and extract the core information so you don't have to waste time. And so therefore it can expedite your learning curve. And I think using AI to expedite your learning curve is a really good use of it. And then I think what it does is it pushes the boundaries more. So where people sort of hate it and feel that it's going to replace jobs and the like, actually, if you use it to save time, then you can become more efficient and you can give a better quality service or experience to customers or individuals. Yet at the same time, I believe, people are going to hate it because maybe they don't understand or they don't like change, but it's really scary as well.
Yeah, I understand you there. And you're right on the money when you talk about so many things, whether it be digital cameras, even radar back in the day. Radar is like in airplanes, and same thing. When it first came out, I know people who were pilots, etc., who were anti-radar because they wanted to keep doing with their maps and drawing everything out on their flights. It looked like you were about to say something on this. It's like,
no, I was going to say, because I know, like, the question you're saying, seeing it in the industry, is that it can help articulate scripts, stories, and you can train AI to learn your style of drawing. So it can help with storyboards, it can help with concept design, it can really expedite dreams to reality. And I think with machine learning, it can help training in a huge way. So it really is just a massive, massive time saver. And if AI, which we're seeing now as a current trend, can be used as an assistant or to, again, expedite the learning curve and make things easier, then I think that's really can be embraced. But I think, like anything, people are just fearful of change, but it's so powerful and so scary in all the different guises. Like now, we're used to hyper realism in, like, so for example, in the film industry, media industry, we're used to hyper realism. So if you saw traditional normal film footage, you'd think it was fake because it hadn't been photoshopped, it hadn't been tweaked, it hadn't been graded. So you wouldn't think it was real footage. And now I think with AI and all the things that are going on, now you're questioning, is what you're seeing real? But then is anything that we see real? Because we're so used to these worlds of imagination. So I just think that it's such an exciting time to be alive. Like, look at the last 50 years of technology and how we've moved. And now, from analog to now digital to now then the future with AI and the fact that it can just do the jobs and the things that we don't like doing to give us more time creating and doing the things we love. But I can see why a lot of people are scared of it. And I think a lot of people are worried that their jobs may be replaced from it. But right now, the power of actually understanding it and working with it, and if you understand your industry or your sector or wherever it may be, you can really use it to push the boundaries of what's possible. And that, I think, is really exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. The guests that I have had thus far on the show and in my own thinkings as well, we all agree that, first of all, fear, for me, the definition of fear is false, a false expectation appearing real. And so that's what I've heard, that acronym, when fear has been turned into an acronym. And I think about that a lot. And And there are so many people that are afraid. And even if there may be issues that are legitimate reasons why we should have some concerns, which we'll go to soon, I think that AI, as far as replacing people, it can replace mundane things. But the reality is, it takes so much training. And I mean, training AI is like to really be able to accomplish something. And in our what we say here in the U.S. is we live in a microwave age. Everything's instant gratification, instant. And so if you try to use AI in an instant gratification mode, it's like you're gonna get crap. It's like you might think it's kind of cool, but it will not give you, a perfect novel. It will not give you even a perfect image, et cetera, et cetera. It requires you really inputting information and helping it grow, like you said when you were talking about growing to be able to identify your style and to be able to assist you in ways. And I don't think that a lot of people really understand that that it is not microwavable. It's not instant gratification. In some areas it is. In some areas it is. But as far as replacing jobs for those of us who are masters in our field, if those who really, really excel, we're always going to push the boundaries. And I'm not sure that AI can keep up with what goes on inside of here. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're going to have a difficulty keeping up with AI if we don't control it at some point. But I think that at the moment, it can be like it's a tool that can make things happen quickly and help. But it can soon overtake too, because, for example, as a tool, before we would write with a pen and paper. Then we would type with typewriters. Then we would then type on computers. Then computers would help us with spelling and word processing. Then we had Grammarly and things that could help the tonality of which you wrote so that it would help there. And then you have the likes of ChatGPT and other things that you can genuinely ask questions and filter out all the noise of what's become the web to find these answers. So I think that part of it is another tool, but the speed of which it works and the speed of which it operates, it could easily put miscommunication, and it can all do, there's lots of things it can do. And then you're like, well, did you really write this, or did someone else write this, or is it an amalgamation? Where does it come? And I think people generally fear what they don't understand. And when you look at AI, I think, I'm not sure if it was Facebook, but I think there was like 2 AI programs that were talking to each other, and they had to turn it off because after a period of time, they started to delve their own language. And if you let it run, it would be like, us talking to an ant, except we're an ant. And so I think that's the scary part of AI, of its evolution, of the speed of which it can evolve. But I think it can be. So, for example, there are projects we're working on that I'm not able to talk about. And then there are other projects that we're working on that the AI will save lives. And it will help people learn difficult things very quickly. And so therefore expediting learning curves and having this information by training it, it's like a living breed. It's having a personal assistant that actually you're training over time, but then can always give you an answer rather than forget. So I think there's many use cases. I mean, we look at it from chatbots that understand businesses and technologies and wherever it is that can feed information on a product, as well as recall training material and recall videos. And that's something that we're doing. And it can also take algorithms or processes and systems and then simplify them or execute them in such a finite way that hugely improves efficiency. And in a world where everything is so expensive and the cost of living and everything is so high, anything that can save time is actually a great thing, because we're all having to work harder. But actually, with the technologies that we have, if you embrace new technology, you can work smarter. And I think the question would be for a lot of people, I know a lot of people say they don't understand it, but people didn't understand the mobile phone. People didn't understand digital cameras. People didn't understand computers. But we're in a world now where more and more people are going to have to understand it, because you're going to be left behind. And then the future, I mean, just in the, like I say, just in the last 50 years, how technology's evolved, that's not even a nano of a nanosecond in the existence of the Earth or the universe.
Exactly.
So it's like scary to imagine what the future can hold. And who knows, maybe Terminator actually exists. Maybe Skynet will become Amazon or Apple or the like. You know, maybe these things will happen. But at the moment, I think we're seeing a birth of a new revolution, really. And I know it's going to get its haters. I know it's got a lot of haters for it, and a lot of people are worrying about it. But I think if you don't embrace that change and see how you can make it work for you, you will be left behind.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, there are a lot of haters, but it still comes down to fear. And there's no turning back. I mean, Pandora's box has been open for better or worse. And this is where we go. So, and since we're talking about Pandora's box, and since we're talking about fear, let's talk about the potential risks of AI. What are your thoughts on the safety and ethical concerns around AI?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, it's like social media or anything really. The next generation consume content via YouTube, TikTok, whatever it might be. And so programs, AI can feed us information, and governments could feed us information which way they want, which is sort of what media companies do anyway. We only consume what they want to give us. And I think the fact that AI can be so convincing now that what you see, you truly would believe. And so there are a lot of things that can be created that it could be weaponized. It could be used for misinformation. It can be used, all of these things. And I think the important part is to sort of realize and educate yourself on the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, and not to believe everything you see on face value, because actually, even now, maybe I'm an AI simulation talking to you.
Exactly.
So that's a possibility, you see.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you that. And like, if you look at all the manipulation that goes on in social media, for example, just as one example, already, and of course there's some AI involved in that as well, but what happens when AI gets to the point of where it's creating what appears to be a live stream of an event that is completely fabricated, and it's just a bunch of zeros and ones, and we're so quick to react instead of responding. Human beings have become so hypersensitive to reaction versus, like you said, slowing down, processing, thinking before acting. We do live in a world where not everything you see is reality. And so I agree with you that in this day and age, it would be a lot better for all human beings to slow down, take a breath, don't react so quickly, enjoy the tools, acknowledge that your fears are real, but I don't know, like you said, this is something that we definitely have to adapt, embrace, take advantage of. Those are my 2 cents. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
No, I mean, I think all of those things are important, but I also think that it will need to be regulated where it can, but then what is regulation and who is controlling that anyway?
Yeah.
Like, people are going to really have to make their own minds up for certain things on what they believe, because espionage, all sorts of different things, it's like what people see is what they tend to believe. And, you know, if I was to say to you that this is a pink remote, but you know this is a black remote, if I said it was a pink remote enough times, you'd eventually just go, okay, we'll just call it a pink remote then. So I think the thing is with AI, I mean, there's just so many concerns with it, because it's like, is it copying it? Who's making the work? If it copies someone else's work, then is it really that person's work? Is it pulling it all together? I think it's just the uncertainty, but if it can help you, how would you use it? And if you could consume, like, lots of people like reading, and there's a lot of people who don't like reading. They like watching films. Maybe they like consuming the summaries. You could condense information into digestible chunks, and therefore then power through so many books and information that you could just absorb and shorten your learning curve. But then you'd also have to go, what you're reading, is that truly what's there? So I think this is where some of the standards or the regulations may have to come in. But at the moment, a lot of people are using, how can I use it? How could I use it in my business? How could I use it personally? How could it change my life for the better? And then also, sometimes with some of the AI models that are going on, they calculate and compute things so quickly that the probabilities of things are actually far greater than for the good than sometimes some of the negatives. So actually doing something actually can also save lives. So I think it's a really exciting time, and it is also quite scary. But for me, I mean, I love technology and innovation. As a company, we've worked with so many innovation teams, and we work with AI in the things that we're doing in a daily basis, and it just fascinates me. But I think it's a great way of shortening the learning curve and just consuming information in chunks that can work. And I think, like, you know, if you look at time, companies that didn't necessarily evolve. So let's have a look. I'm just used from a company, but look at Blockbuster. Blockbuster videos should never have been overtaken by Netflix. But Netflix come along and changed the game. You know, Nokia and all the phone companies should never have been overtaken by Apple, but they changed the game. Yeah. Tesla should never have been taken out all the big car companies, but they did. They changed the game. So I think the thing is that, you know, even like if I look at electric cars, for example, lots of the manufacturers, and we work with a lot of OEMs, they would go, no, it's not going to work. We do this. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, there's a massive shift. And I think this is the same with AI. You can either hate it and go against it, or you can actually use it, understand it, and then try and shape it for good, and then try and have it sort of maybe like regulated for certain sectors and actually influence it for good rather than not, because there's going to be a lot of people on the sidelines going, I don't understand it, and ignore it, and then, you know, disappear. So I think embrace it, but be wary of what you're consuming, because you just don't know.
Absolutely, which is true today anyway. I mean, that's just, for me, when I think of my overall fears, even with regulating and who's regulating, I mean, it's the same old, different species, maybe more potentially dangerous because of the fact of how fast things can move. It's like, I mean, when you're talking zeros and ones and processing power, and as computing processing power continues to get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, it is.
Don't forget don't forget quantum computing, which is zeros and ones at the same time.
Exactly. And so, I mean, so it's a lot to digest, but from a philosophical, for me, on a philosophical level, the reality is the problems that come with AI have always been part of humanity. And so just faster and deeper and more intense, be able to impact more lives in an instant at times than in the past. But you still have the same bullies. You still have the same altruistic people. And I would like to believe that good wins out in the end, however one defines good, you know, meaning for the betterment of humanity, for the freedom of humanity, the empowerment of humanity. Hopefully a deeper, in some capacity, maybe when we have more free time because AI is doing what it's doing, we have more time to love one another. We have more time to share love, not just with our families, but with our communities. And in that aspect, maybe that helps us keep the tide on the side that we want versus those who would exploit the hell out of us. I don't know, but just some thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think it can help become an architect of time if it can speed up the mundane processes of a daily task, and it can expedite all of these things to give you that time. If I was to say to you, I will give you 5 hours a week or one day a week, what would you do with it? Would you spend that with your family? Would you go and watch a sunset? Would you do all these things? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. I've got this to do, I've got this to do. Oh, and they're busy fools. But actually, if you look at technology as a way to expedite learning curves, to increase efficiencies and give better quality service, then actually you're going to free up time. And then with that time, you can reinvest that in the things you love doing, whether that's family, whether that's painting, whether that's drawing. But I also think that, the regulation, if you let AI run off and do its thing and then truly get its own mind and not clamp down, then I think it could be really scary, because some of the things it can do are just unbelievable. So it is quite important that there is this sort of regulation, or there is, because over time you could get a Skynet. Who's to say that the computers couldn't then start thinking fully for themselves and then go, well, hang on a second, why do humans get to choose? So I think that part of it is quite scary, because we don't fully understand where it can go. But I think the ability to save time, I think, is one of the best things. And then using it for good. But the other part of it as well, and you did touch on it briefly, is, you have to educate AI. Humans, we have to give it the information to learn. And it's like a child. If a child grows up in a loving home and caring home and gets attention from the parents, then that child understands those values. But if the child doesn't have a loving, caring home and gets all of the other side, then you've got the opposite. So this is what will probably happen with some of the AI programs. It's going to be used for good and it's going to be used for bad, and it has to sort of be able to clearly be coded to understand right from wrong, or easily be switched off, so it can't get too much control. So it does need to be monitored. And it's like, I think it's the first 4 years of a child's life is so important on shaping how they're going to be. But in AI, it's like in a nanosecond, it's sort of got from 0 to 4 to 4 to 10. So all of a sudden it surpassed you, because it's become like wherever it goes in the future. So I think what we're going to see is lots of companies, people, individuals, projects embracing it on how can we use it. And I think COVID has expedited the metaverse, and COVID has also expedited this, because the world was locked down, and when the world was locked down and it needed to communicate, or it created time for people to innovate, to connect, to share, minds to come together digitally, that enable to push the metaverse, able to push audible apps. I mean, now you can talk to people all over the world in spaces or in Clubhouse or anything like this. And these are great minds that you'd have had to have gone to conferences for. And so now we're talking now about AI, and we'll have spaces about AI and have hundreds of people in there, everyone giving a point of view. And there's no right or wrong, there's different. So if you take different people's points of view and you look at it, then you've got this like amazing model, which again just expedites all the learning, because you've got these humongous focus groups coming up with things that people would never have thought of, and then help champion the good, the bad, the ugly. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe I didn't go about a rabbit hole, but
No, that was not a rabbit hole. That was right on point. And so I find it to be very valuable information, and I concur completely. And so, me being ruler in peace, and, that whole feeding the mind, feeding AI, like what I was touching upon before. I believe that I want to believe that there are more of us who are in the space wanting to help shape, wanting to create businesses that empower and lift, inspire, educate, heal, I would like to believe that that is a stronger vibration or call in people's lives than just exploitation and taking advantage of others. And if I'm right, then I'm not so worried. But I do agree with regulation. But once again, even those regulators will have that in mind and have that intent. And but um, but it is a Pandora's box. At the same time, we're not sure what we've unleashed. But it's like I'm here for the ride. It's like, and I know that you're here for the ride. I know that people in our community are here for the ride, and so that's all I have to say about that. And so I want to say thank you for sharing your insights with us today. And before we wrap things up, could you share with us a specific project or accomplishment related to AI that you're most proud of?
So actually, so a project we're working on right now is something I'm really quite excited for. We do and have done for many years a lot of training. We do training content, training videos, educating children, adults, all sorts. We do a lot of training material. And one of the projects that we're doing is using AI and educating through the system about a system, that how to use it, pulling in videos, pulling in content. So when you go into like chatbots or anything like this, sometimes they just pull content together, and that content is like listed just referencing documentation. What we're doing is we're taking the information of meetings that we've had, transcriptions of stuff that we've had, and pulling all of this together to then create an amazing amount of rich content about systems and platforms that we're building, and projects and apps and the like that we're doing to help educate people how to use something. So really mundane documentation that would just take forever is being able to be given to users on the system. So we'll create videos, we'll create training material, and then we'll use AI to educate the AI into the platform so it can become a trainer for trainers, or it can be a trainer for the audience and the consumers to understand how to do something. So for example, a project that we're part of is using AI and our algorithms to detect people who are having heart attacks, maybe whether they're going to have a heart attack in a month's time, 2 weeks time, whatever it might be, based on patterns and performance. And the information and the education means that we can scale this technology globally that could save so many lives. And I think that project is just so exciting because it's actually used for good, because what you're doing is you're bringing something that's going to save huge amounts of lives anyway, and then educating and scaling the ability for people to learn quicker. That doesn't mean they're learning wrong. It just means that the information is freely available and less obstacles. So that's really exciting. It's like a brain using all of the things we've done over the years, pulling that together to create this training tool. That is super exciting. So I'm loving that. And that's probably going to be the thing that I'm most proud of from an AI side, because to predict the future, first you must create it. And that's exactly what we're doing.
I think that is incredible, simply incredible. But I don't want to let you leave it just at that. That what you just shared is really, really exciting. But there's a whole other aspect of your world, is like in the animation and in NFTs and the metaverse and AI. And I'd like you to touch upon about that as well.
Yeah, so obviously we do lots in the corporate realm, and we aren't able to unlearn what we've learned when we work with all these brands and technologies and things. But then we do get to play with it ourselves. So like we have here, this is Pixel. This is one of our. There we are. Look there. Pixel is actually our robot of this world. So these are the NFT lines. We have the NFT Jungle, and we have an AI robot that will help educate people on the jungle and what it's doing and the characters and the stories and the scripts. And it's quite exciting because we're going to use the technology we've been creating for this as well. And so these are our lions. We've got the jungle apes, And in fact, if I bring this one up, we're creating our own world. So as much as we're creating for everybody else, the jungle that we've created are using blockchain technology. And we've been using the blockchain technology with 3D animation, with film, technology for generators and the like. And then sort of in the future, we'll be feeding some of the AI things we're doing into it to sort of push it and push the boundaries. So yeah, we're creating our own world. And that is the NFT Jungle. They were the first lions of the blockchain, the lion cubs of the blockchain. They've been on Amazon Prime, on TV, various conferences and things they've been. And these are, in fact, you can see them here. It's 100 lions, up to 5,000 lion cubs. There's about 245 of them minted right now. And then we have 1,000 jungle apes with 615 minted. And although this is crazy and everyone says about NFTs and what are NFTs, I love the fusion of art, technology, and then AI to come, because people don't know, but with the jungle apes, for example, you can go onto the site and you can talk as your character, you can move as your character, and it can learn all these things as well. So it's super exciting. And I think what we tend to do as a company anyway is we like to practice what we preach. So we like to do what we suggest to companies and brands and what we have done for many years, and prove of concept for ourselves. So then we can show that and how it works. And again, we aren't able to unlearn what we've learned. When you've had a studio of media and technology for over 22 years, you learn a lot, and you learn a lot from a lot of smart people, and you get paid to work on some exciting projects, which we do. Some we're allowed to talk about, some we're not allowed to talk about. But then you think, wow, how can we incorporate this technology into the future? And this is where, when I say about saving time, in the old days in film and production, you'd have to paint out backgrounds, you'd have to do all of this stuff. Whereas now with AI, you can create that background and let the computer do some of the work for you to save the time in the shots, which means you can just improve it. And so from the film world, it's like really exciting on how you can push the boundaries of fusing content and functionality with all the technology together. And that's what I think the NFT world and the blockchain world does. And again, like AI in itself, lots of people are against maybe AI. A lot of people will be against blockchain or NFTs, but it's a technology. And I think if you push technology to the limits, that's how innovation moves forward. And what is innovation anyway? It's part of just repurposed design. It's just improvements to be more efficient and make things faster. So yeah, that's the jungle, and the lion cubs, and that's it. Yeah, thank you for letting me share that. If you want to get a lion or a lion cub or a jungle ape, go to nftjungle.com. There we are. You can go and check that out, or visit rjdm.com.
Absolutely, I would recommend people. I'm a holder of a couple of cubs, and I got an ape too, and I'm not afraid to help you plug that, because it's a beautiful community, and you have a great heart, and you really believe in the concept of community and helping people get across the finish line together. So,
and the next generation, I think the thing is that the most important thing I really believe is inspiring the next generation, because they're the ones who we have to educate in all of this, and they're the ones we have to express our fears or desires for how the future could be, because they're going to be the ones creating it. So they need to be made aware of the good, the bad, the ugly, and not just consume what they see on TikTok or YouTube. They need to be made aware that, okay, this is great, but this and this and this is wrong, and this and this and this is right. But then what is right and wrong? And so I think inspiring the next generation with content that can expedite their learning curves and really reinforce positive, high quality value, then I think that is super exciting. And what the future holds, my gosh, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I mean, us talking about AI like we are here will be like us talking about a video cassette.
Yeah, exactly. I know you're right, because even you talk to those people who are still alive, who remember, before airplanes were flying, if you know what I mean. it's all I can ever say about life. One of my favorite movies. I have a few movies that are really touched me deeply on multiple levels. And one's a very simplistic movie, Forrest Gump, and how Forrest always says life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And so this life is a very interesting life that we live in. And there's a lot to
it is. And I have to leave with this one. In a world where it's been tough for many people, and it is tough, life is tough. Nothing hits as hard as life. But this is the best exercise in the world. Why? You know the answer to this one.
But go ahead and answer. Go ahead.
It means you're not in a coffin.
Exactly.
You're alive. And therefore everything's possible. And I think people lose sight of the fact that they can get consumed in all the negative and they can get consumed in all of the stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. But with everyone being 1 in 4 trillion probability, AI will never replace life.
Exactly.
It will. So therefore, no matter whatever's going on, and tomorrow is never promised. I think you just have to live. Why would you want? No one. We said this earlier in the green room, and I said no one put on their tombstone, "I wish I worked an extra hour." Mm-hmm. So, at the moment, before hopefully you go and see the big man upstairs, if you were to be given more days or more time, how would you spend it? Mm-hmm. And if AI can help give you time and allow you to see those sunsets and see those things to expedite what you're doing, and you use it correctly, why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to see those sunsets? Why wouldn't you want to invest that time in the family? Because no one put on their tombstone, "I wish I worked an extra hour." And so if anything can take the mundane tasks of life out of the way, or the mundane chores, as it were, it means you can look up and enjoy life more. And I think that is something that's quite exciting with AI, rather than going, "No, I just means I can do more stuff, I can do more work." Okay, but actually, why are we all here anyway?
Yeah.
Let's enjoy that extra time that we're creating. And if technology and tools can enable that, then hey, I mean, you never know, in the future, Optimus, which is Tesla's new robot, maybe Elon will have everyone will be renting out their Optimus as their employee for them, so everyone's steal it and they've got a robot doing their work for them. Maybe that's the future. I don't know, but certainly an exciting time to be alive, and it's great to be a part of it and make some changes or help shift it in whatever which way we can.
Every time we spend time together, I really smile. I know that I send a lot of love your way. It's like through Twitter and stuff like that. But what you said, when people ask me how I'm doing it, when people ask me, I have a standard response. I say the Earth is still spinning, we are vertical, so life is good. And so that embodies everything that you just said. Is like, with regards to this and everything else, the Earth is still spinning. It's like we are vertical and life is good, because most people don't realize that right now, right here now, over 180,000 people who woke up yesterday did not wake up today. They didn't. And so, but we did. I did some research on that a while ago, and it was very sobering. It was a very sobering thought. Yeah, there are births, but still there are 180,000 people who were alive, who had families, who had vision, who had dreams, who had hopes, and many of them didn't expect to not wake up as today, but it didn't happen. So
hey, look, this is I was a retained fireman for 8.5 years, and I used to go to accidents where people lost their whole family, and there's a lot of things, but again, it comes back to the fact of, if you had more time, what would you do with it? If you had an extra day, an extra hour, don't use it to do more work. Or if you do more work, fine, but then make sure, like we were saying before, work-life balance, either be all in on work and then make sure you give the time to the family or to yourself to view those sunsets. Because I think, I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but average life expectancy is about 80 or so. So, okay, people are living longer, But how many sunsets is that? Where are they? Where are you going to go? So if you can use technology to create time, and you can reinvest that time, then that's got to be a good thing. And I think people who are hating stuff, that hating on things and hating on people, that's a waste of time as well.
Absolutely.
Why waste hating when actually you could embrace it and be the change you want things to be, and push for the good, and let that overcome any of the negative that may be there. I mean, we could go down that for a whole new thing, but hey,
All right, Ricky.
Thank you.
You're very, very, very welcome. As part of, we've already done so many last things. Is there anything else you would like to add? But, and so I almost don't want to ask the question, but just take a pause, take a breath. You've already said so many great things, especially sharing. It's like what we were talking about, life and elbow room. You're not in a box. But is there anything else, just one last thing that you'd like to add about AI or your work in this field? Is like before we go ahead and say till the next episode.
Watch this space.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again, Ricky, for joining us on Machine Minds. I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate you
having me,
brother. You're very, very welcome. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Join us next time. 2 weeks from today will be our next episode, and just come in and enjoy the vibration, enjoy the knowledge, and learn about the tools, and find more time for your life so that you can enjoy it more fully and enjoy it more with your families. So we live in a world of fascinating world. We live in a very fascinating world of AI, honestly. And so come back and join us. And Ricky, I'll be seeing you in the metaverse, in the universe, is like everywhere I can. And we've got some collaborating to do, as we both know. Whoop, whoop. And so thank you very much. So I am going to close us out with a little music, just a little bit of music. And then we will come back next episode. In 9, 7, 6. That's right. 4, 2.